Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of The Sexy Thyroid Solution. I'm your host, Angela Brown. So today we're going to talk all about carbohydrates, but if you could do me a really big favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so you get a notification every Thursday when I release my new video. And then if you're watching this on Instagram or Facebook, like this, share this with someone who needs this information. So let's go ahead and dive in here. This is such a hot topic. This is a topic that I get asked about a lot, particularly because I'm working with so many women who have hypothyroidism. So I thought I would do a video about this and give you a little bit more in-depth explanation. Obviously, you can go on Google. There's so much information out there about low carb, high carb, whatever. And it's really overwhelming, especially if you struggle with a thyroid condition. A slow thyroid condition, it's very overwhelming because you kind of don't know where to go. So I want to put some information together here for you that can kind of guide you and maybe help gear you towards the direction that's going to benefit you the most. Now, obviously, everyone is very person specific. I will give you my own personal story with it. I did try low carbohydrate. This was years ago before I had gotten certified in health coaching. And my thyroid numbers were horrible. I ended up feeling really, really bad within a few weeks. I just so happened to have a blood panel scheduled, and my doctor immediately was like, "What are you doing differently? Because your numbers look really bad." And I knew it because I felt miserable. So I decided to start researching, well, why did this happen? And I found out a lot of stuff that I wish I had looked at prior to starting that journey of going low carbohydrate. So here's some of the information that I think will help you. First, keep in mind that your liver has to do a lot of thyroid hormone conversion, meaning you have inactive T4, you have active T3. You have to convert a lot of T4 over to T3 because you only make about 20% active T3. A lot of people with a slow thyroid, they have a conversion issue. They cannot get that converted over. So the majority of that conversion happens in the liver. Well, guess what? Your liver needs glucose in order to help that conversion happen. So if you start going super low carbohydrate, you're not giving your body hardly any glucose at all. The body has an issue then with this conversion. The liver is drastically affected because it doesn't have that glucose to help with that conversion process. So that is one really big reason why I'm very hesitant for anyone to go super low carbohydrate when you're struggling with a slow thyroid. With or without being on medication, I really encourage you to be very careful and very cautious with going low carbohydrate unless your thyroid is really under control, which most people that come to me, it's not the case. So avoiding carbohydrates is not a good thing to do. We're going to dive into the type of carbohydrates in a little bit here. Also, keep in mind, when you don't have those thyroid hormone conversions, a lot of times what happens is women start relying on other things to help with that. And they utilize cortisol and they utilize things like adrenaline. When you start using all those types of hormones to give you energy, all that because you don't have your thyroid hormones, your body thinks it's in a stress response. And unfortunately, when that happens, you start to feel wired but tired. And that's why a lot of thyroid people that come to me, they're in that stage where they're really wired but tired because they're actually trying to use their cortisol and adrenaline things to combat not having enough thyroid hormone or thyroid function. And they just feel so wired but tired. Well, that can actually happen from going low carbohydrate because your body thinks it's in a stress response then because there's not enough glucose there. So unfortunately, you get this wired but tired feeling. Also, keep in mind that when you're in this vicious cycle where you're constantly utilizing cortisol for your energy levels and you're not really utilizing your thyroid hormones, A, because you don't have them or you can't convert over, B, because your body isn't absorbing like your thyroid medication if you are taking thyroid medication, that can happen as well. When you constantly use cortisol, you store body fat. It's inevitable. You're going to store body fat. And especially in women, at a lot of times it goes to the belly. So that is something to really keep in mind when you think about going super low carbohydrate. What I see a lot of women that when they are struggling with this, they end up going, I've been doing super low carb and I'm going to go straight into having a ton of carbohydrates. I don't advise that. For the women that come to me, if they are doing super low carb, you got to take baby steps. Okay. So you have to almost like a carb cycling. You're going to do day on, day off, day on, day off, where you're doing a little bit more carbs, a little bit less carbs, and then you kind of like wean yourself to it. If you throw your body into this, now I'm just going to have all these carbohydrates and I haven't been having them for months on end, it's a little bit shock to your system. So go slow. If you are on a super low carbohydrate, go very slow when you're transitioning to actually utilizing those carbs. I would go a little bit slower with that. And like I said, start adding them in very, very slowly. Now, when we're talking about carbohydrates, I'm not talking about these crappy carbs, the processed carbs, sugar, stuff like that. We're talking about starchy carbs, fruits. Some people with thyroid stuff, they can tolerate grains. I am not one of those, unfortunately. If you can tolerate grains, make sure they're gluten-free. But a lot of times I really do encourage starchy carbs like potatoes, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, because they have a ton of really good things in them, especially potassium. Potassium helps with thyroid hormones. It helps with thyroid hormone conversion. So I do really encourage starchy carbs for sure. Vegetables, just straight up vegetables, green beans, zucchini, things like that. Those are carbs. They're not starchy carbs. They don't have a high glycemic index. So you can have those for sure. But when I'm talking about including carbohydrates in your diet, especially with the thyroid, I'm referring to the higher glycemic ones. So starchy carbs, fruits, and stuff like that. Fruits are totally fine too. I wouldn't make that your only source of carbohydrate consumption because again, there's a lot of sugar in them, especially things like pineapple and grapes. Those have really high sugar. They're natural sugars, but they still are sugar. So make sure you're getting starchy carbs in too. You need a lot of potassium to for everyday function. You need 4,500 milligrams for everyday function of potassium. You need that. So getting some starchy carbs in every day will absolutely help you with that. So I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. I would love to know too, if you have ever been one of those where you have gone low carb. Tell me, let me know. I would love to know how you did with it. I did terrible with it. I would love to know if you guys tried it yourself and how you did with it. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will chat with you on the next video. Bye.